Hi everyone, can you hear me? Can't see any. Ah, Susan. Yes, Susan, we're all fine, thank you. If somebody could just let me know that they can actually hear me though. Hi Thea. Marcia's saying yes, so I'm assuming is that to the answer that yes, she can hear me. Thank you, Marcia. Hazel, hi. Thea, yes, loud and clear. Yes, can hear. Maria is in sunny Caerphilly. Oh, brilliant. You're all saying yes now. Fab. So I'm just going to put my phone under my iPad because I've got comments coming up on both, but sometimes they come up quicker on one than the other. Hazel saying yes. Andrea saying yes, you can. Sandra's saying yes, brilliant. So I can see there's like 18 people jumping on now. Faith is saying she can hear me in the US. Linda's saying brand new here and can hear you. Well, welcome, Linda. Lovely for you to be here. I hope you'll come back or subscribe to the channel. Hazel's saying yes. So excited to see you live stream. I can hear you, Donna's saying. Oh, thank you. Sandra Butler's saying, is this live now? Yes, it is. And I'm trying something different tonight. So I'm going out on YouTube as I normally do, but I'm also, I think, going out on Facebook. Andrea Park is saying first time. Karen saying hello. Hola from Marina. Hi, Alison. Hello, and just want to say a big thank you for all your help and tips making the insert cards. Oh, you're welcome, Alison. So my card didn't quite turn out as I expected. It just needs a slight modification. So if you can just bear with me for 1 minute, I'll see if I can find that card because I've got comments on my phone and I've got comments on my iPad. Hazel's saying hi in South Africa. Hi, Jamila. Jamila's saying, guess what? I can hear you. That's unusual. Eddie's fine, thank you. Hannah's taking him out for a walk. So just let me find my cards and so I can explain for anybody that was here last week. Sorry, I've been cleaning my fabric mat just while I was waiting to go live. That's what that's doing there. So I'll move that. So let me just explain about this. Hopefully you can all see this. I need to find another place for my phone. Let me just put that there. Linda saying, thank you. I have been subscribed a long time. Recovery from foot surgery in CA. Is that California? Or I've probably got that totally wrong, but actually live in Costa Rica. Well, hi, Linda, and welcome. Lynn, I'm fine, thank you. So hopefully you can see the two cards on my desk now. The first one, the yellow one, this is what we did last week, and I'm only going to spend just a few seconds on this just to explain something. So the first one I made, I put slits in the corner, and the piece of white card just slides inside and just peeks through the slits, and that's how you see the white coming through on the yellow base card. Last week I did this one in our live, which was our Canvas Workspace live, but I tried something different and I added corners. And if any of you remember, if you were with me last week, this was a triangle, and this diagonal line here I made into a curved line, and my thinking was to make this kind of A-shaped. Oh, thank you, Alison. Got them done this week, just to make this shape, to make it different. And the idea, my thinking behind it was that this yellow would slide through. But it hasn't quite worked out, and I did mention this to Alison when she messaged me in the week and sent me a picture of her beautiful card that she made following the tutorial, because Alison was the one that asked about this technique. And for anybody that hasn't seen Alison's card, if you go to my forum, so go to applelover53.co.uk, and if you remember, click on the forum, and I think I put it in the Sunday Night Live section, and I did it earlier on in the week. I posted Alison's cards that she made. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and she made it following my technique. And what she did, instead of using slits or corners like I did here, I'll get back to that in a minute, she did like a skinny rectangle here on an angle for her piece of background card to slide through and be held in place, which, you know, is another genius idea. This one hasn't quite worked out. So what I'm thinking I would have to do with this, I'd probably have to make the corners bigger for the card to slide through, because if you remember, I positioned the corners last week in Canvas Workspace so that they were the same size as this piece of yellow card. And yes, you can see the yellow card through, but it doesn't quite pop through the corner as I kind of wanted it to. So that's the only kind of slight modification. So you'd either need to make this section of your, if you're doing a corner like this, bigger, so the card slides through it properly, or, oops, use slits like I used in the first one, or make very skinny rectangles like Alison's done. Okay, so that's just recapping on that from last week. So now, tonight, and a couple of people I think have said they're new. So for anybody that doesn't know, a few weeks ago, I did a Facebook Live on the Makers Superstore Facebook page. I took over their Facebook page, and they'd asked me if I'd do something for them, and maybe something using fabric or the rotary blade. So these three little key rings here were like my prototypes that are made, all using shapes that are in my ScanNCut machine. This flower and this dolphin, I'm sure, are in most of the ScanNCut machines. Obviously the Disney design will only be in a machine that's either got the Disney designs like mine, so the 2200D, or if you've bought one of the Disney activation cards. So I kind of made these as prototypes, and I sent photographs over to makers, and they loved them. So in the live stream that I did for them on their Facebook page, I made these two. Okay, then Jamila, who is on here now, had a go at making these and posted a couple of photographs on my forum, and she'd done, I think she'd cut the flower and she'd cut a letter. And that got me thinking, well, we could use text. So for anybody that's new and hasn't been here before, or for anybody that didn't see me do, you know, any of this in the Makers Live, I'm going to be cutting some more faux leather to make a key ring, and I'm going to be using a word. So that's what we're going to do tonight. And hopefully this will work out. Fingers crossed, everybody. You know what lives are like. So let's see what we're saying. Alison's saying couldn't have done it without you, and Judy is saying why not just use glue dots in the corners. Yeah, Judy, you can. There's you don't even need to put corners in. You could literally, like you say, just glue your background piece of card down. It was just Alison had sent me some pictures. I think it's Cricket do some cards, cut out cards. I think it's for the Cricket Joy. I'm not sure if it's for the other crickets or just the Joy. And she had said, is this something that, you know, I'm sure we can do this with a ScanNCut. And that was the challenge I took Alison up on, to try and come up with something. And on the pictures that she'd sent me, I noticed that some of them had the corners, so that's why I was playing about with the corners. Okay, so that's the only reason for that. So let me, because the comments are coming through quicker on my phone than they are on my iPad, which is directly in front of me. So let me just see what everyone's saying. So we've got, I think I've said hello to Andrew. We've got Sandra from Dallas. Hazel was South Africa. We've got Jamila. Hi Vicky in Canada. We are back on synchronize. Are we? So we're synchronized now. Are we? Is that what you mean? Back on synchron. Oh, I can't even say that word. Sorry. Linda Crawford saying thank you. I have been subscribed. Yeah, got that one. Linda Crawford's California. Okay. I think I guessed that right, didn't I? I've answered Judy. Alison saying this looks exciting. I managed to cut real leather with the auto blade, Jamila's saying. And Karine is saying hi. So what we're going to do all this directly on the machine, so no canvas at all involved. So let me just move these out of the way for now. And I'm kind of collecting stuff, all bits and pieces that I make. Some of them I give away, some of them I give to customers, but I've started saving quite a bit of stuff. And then, like when I have a giveaway later on in the year, I can't send like Stampin' Up stuff out of the UK unless it's a market that I can sell in. So like, I think it's Austria, France, Germany, UK and the Netherlands. But I know that obviously a lot of you are all around the world, like we've just discovered, haven't we? America, Canada, South Africa, etc. So when I did my giveaway back end of the year, the kind of the Christmas type thing, I gave some cards I'd made for people that lived outside of the UK. And I think they both went to America. I had two sets, I think, and they both went to America from memory. So I'm kind of saving stuff. So, you know, don't be surprised if these key rings pop up in a giveaway later on in the year or something. Because I'm mindful that people, you know, come and join me every Sunday and watch me from all around the world. But, you know, when it's Stampin' Up stuff I'm giving away, unfortunately, I can't send like a stamp set to America because you have US demonstrators and demonstrators in Canada, etc. So, hello from Washington. I bought a cheap upholstery leather off cuts and cut the Mickey head with the rotary blade following your tutorial, and it worked beautifully, Thea's saying. So yeah, you know, like if you've got an upholsterer's near you or if you've got a fabric shop near you, go in and ask if they've got like old sample books, you know, like upholsterers might have leather samples, you know, they might only be, I don't know, maybe 9 by 11 or 12 or something like that, but the usable pieces of fabric that you can work with. The black faux leather that you've just seen, that I'm going to use it again, I've a frozen. Let me just switch you to the other screen for now, because I'm not sure if I've frozen. Somebody tell me if I've frozen. I'm just going to plug a battery in. What we're saying here, have any of you sharpened your auto blade, and if so, how? Yeah, hi Yolandi, I just stabbed mine into a piece of rolled up silver foil. Lynn's saying, odd not getting any comments on my phone, which is cast into the big screen. Looks like we have several new people with us, so glad to have you here, JD Cougar's saying. Hi Jane. Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. My left leg that was causing me the problem from my back last year still isn't right. So JD Cougar's saying not frozen. Thea's saying yes. I think it's this other camera. I'm just going to come out of this camera. So you should just be looking at the ScanNCut screen for now. and then let's see if we can reconnect. So just bear with me a minute. It's logged me out for some reason on my overhead camera, so you're just going to have to bear with me 1 minute. Thea's saying okay now. Now on ScanNCut screen, that's fine. Marcia's saying not frozen, but for some reason it's frozen on my end and it's logged me out of my overhead camera. So just bear with me 1 minute while I log myself back in. And this is when you can never remember your own flipping email, isn't it? Just bear with me 1 minute because I honestly can't remember what my password is. Isn't it great? Something always goes wrong on a live, doesn't it? Let me find, because I use a program called Switcher, which enables me to use multiple like iDevices. And it has been a bit buggy the last few weeks. So just bear with me 1 minute. Let me see if I can log in. So let's put that back in its cradle. Oh my word. Let me get back to YouTube. Overhead, we should be okay, hopefully now. Marcia's saying not frozen. Can't tell if that one is good. Put your hand on the screen. So I can see my hands moving now on my blue mat. So it looks as though we're back in business. So let's just run over what I'm going to use quickly. Create. Hi Lynn. Oh no, not you too. Me and passwords exactly the same. Your screen is working on the one that's showing the ScanNCut. Yeah. Jane is saying only can hear your voice but focused on ScanNCut. Yeah, that's fine. So we should be back onto my desktop now. Vicky's saying good now. Yes, see, I can see you from the overhead. Brilliant. Right, okay, so let's plod on because I told Hannah I'd try and be done for 6 because I need to make her some tea. So I'm going to be using heat transfer vinyl again, and I'm going to be using this black faux leather. And for anybody in the UK, a few people did ask me last time, and I'm sure I did mention it, but this was bought by The Yardage, and this was from Hobbycraft in the UK, and it's just like faux leather. Okay, so that's what I'm going to use. I've just got a couple of scraps because I'm not sure if I've got enough. I might have to cut another piece. And then for decoration, I'm going to be using some heat transfer vinyl. And again, for anybody that's new, the way you know it's heat transfer vinyl is it has a shiny coating on one side and you can see the vinyl colour on the other. If it's just regular, normal vinyl that you would use, you know, like on a cup or home decor, you normally have a paper backing and your front isn't shiny like this. You can see the shine in the reflection of my light. So this is how you know it's heat transfer vinyl. So let's go over to the ScanNCut machine, which has now gone to sleep. Okay, I'm going to bring my phone over with me, so hopefully I can see the comments a bit better. I need to find somewhere to prop this up. This isn't. Let me see if I can put that there. So are we all okay? Looks and sounds okay, all good now. I have the 650 ScanNCut, so what you are showing us, would I do the same on my 650? Yeah, you should. Anybody should be able to do this. I'm going to be using the rotary blade, but Jamila cut fabric with her regular blade, I think from memory, while she was waiting for her rotary blade to arrive. So yeah, anybody should be able to do this, but as I say, I'm going to use the rotary blade and I'm going to use my vinyl blade for the heat transfer vinyl. But again, you know, until I got this vinyl blade, what, 6 or 8 months or so ago, I cut vinyl with a regular blade. So don't worry about not being able to do this. Jamila's saying, oh, I had trouble with the HTV. It only stuck one heart on the keyring. Okay, I think you've got to make sure you get your temperature right. What I did for mine, I mean, I'm using the vinyl. Let me just come back to the overhead. Sorry, I'm using the heat transfer vinyl from GM Crafts. So it's www.gm for mother crafts with an s.co.uk. This is just a box of mixed A4 that I bought. But I also have some Cricut heat transfer vinyl, which I've not used yet. But what I did, if you Google Cricut Easy Press Heat Guide, it will bring you up a website that you go to and you choose what product you're using. So I chose glitter heat transfer vinyl, even though it wasn't Cricut's, and it asks you what base material you're using, and I typed in faux leather and it tells you what to set your Easy Press at in temperature and for how long. Okay, so let's get going, because hopefully I want to try and get through this. So we'll go over to the ScanNCut screen. Okay, so I'm just going to load the fabric matting. I know you can't see that at the moment, just to save some time, just so it's there. So you should all be able to see now my ScanNCut screen. Okay, so we're going to go to pattern and we're going to go to text. So just, if I don't answer any questions in the next few minutes, it's because I'm concentrating on the ScanNCut screen, but I will come back and you know, try and catch up with any comments. So I'm going to pick a font. So let's have a look what's in here. I want something fairly chunky, so I'm going to go with F0A013. Now I don't know whether, I can't remember, because it's I've had this SDX now several years, so I can't remember what fonts are in all your machines, but you'll have fonts within your machine that you'll be able to use irrespective of what model ScanNCut you've got. So I'm going to go with this one. And it brings up the keyboard. I'm going to leave it on capitals and I'm going to type keys, so Keys and OK, and I'm just going to press set, and that's now on my screen. And as usual, when it's up in the top left hand corner, I can never get hold of it, so I'm going to go to edit and use the arrows and just bring it down and bring it over into the middle of the page. So let's see if I can zoom in a bit more for you. Okay, so you should all be able to see that now. So let's see what you're saying. I have the 9x9 Easy Press. Don't shout at me, but not used it yet. Had it months. Right, Jamila, get it out and get it used. It's so easy. So Vicky is saying to Linda, if you don't have the auto blade, you might have to make the cut 2 or 3 times to get through thicker material. For the HTV, make your blade depth shallower so that you do a half cut. Yeah, perfect. Thanks for that, Vicky. Right, so we've got the word keys on the screen. I'm going to go to OK and I'm going to go to Object Edit and I'm going to come to the resize icon. Now again, if you've got a different model ScanNCut machine, your icons might be in different places than they are on my machine, but you should all be able to, you know, adjust the size and create an offset, which is what we're going to do in a minute, and you know, flip and all that kind of stuff, which is what we're going to do tonight. So I'm going to make the width 3 inches. So I'm leaving the maintain aspect ratio unselected, so it's white. That's these 2 arrows here. That if you tick that, it means you can adjust the height and the width independently. But for now, I'm just going to leave it as it is and take the width down to 3 inches and see what height it ends up at. I might end up adjusting the height, I'm not sure, we'll see. So we'll take the width down to 3 inches, and it's just under an inch high, which I think will be fine. So I'm going to leave it at that. So I'm going to say OK. So now what I want to do, hopefully you can all see this. I'll try and see if I can bring it down a bit more. For some reason, sometimes I can't always grab hold of things that are on my screen. I'm going to try and zoom in a bit more so that you can hopefully see what I'm doing. Jamila, that's it. Listen to me. Okay, so I'm going to do an offset, and on my SDX, the offset is here within these 9 icons. You will all have the offset feature because I'm sure it was done in an update years ago. So no matter what model you've got, you'll have this feature. It might not be on this screen. You'll just have to look where it is. Okay, but for me, it's here. It looks like 2 circles with arrows. So I'm going to select the offset, and I'm going to make the offset quite big. I'm going to try 0.10. I'm not sure, we'll see in a minute how this works. So I'm going to say OK. Now on my SDX, it makes the offset a separate item. I can't remember on the CM models whether it just inflates the original word. So if it does, you'll have to size your original word to 3 inches wide and then duplicate it, move one out of the way and make the other one the 0.10 offset. I honestly can't remember how it works. I know you've all got the offset, but I just can't remember which way it works. Now, because I've made the word keys at 3 inches wide and I've applied a 0.10 offset, if I just click on the word keys, if you can see this here, it's kind of automatically already welded it together. So it depends what size word you start with and how big you make your offset. Now, if you make your offset 0.10 like I've just done, and when you move your original word away, these are kind of like still separate letters but overlapped, just select it and hit your weld icon, okay, and weld them together. But mine have kind of all automatically welded, probably because I've made the offset quite big. Okay, we can go back over this in a bit and I'll come back to questions in a few minutes. So let's just plod on with this for now. So I've got this offset here. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to come up to the duplicate icon and I'm going to say I want 2 and OK. So now I've got 2. This is a devil, this not being able to move or select my letters. So I'm going to move 1, I'm going to say OK, and I'm going to use the arrows. I'm going to move 1 all the way down to the bottom, just so I know where it is. Then I'm going to select, say OK, I'm going to select my duplicate or use the arrows to select it. I'm going to come to Object, Edit, and I'm going to flip it horizontally, okay? And then again, I'm going to move it down to the bottom. So I've got one of the offsets facing the right way. I've created a duplicate and I've flipped the other one, okay? Now I'm going to say OK, OK and add, and I'm going to come to pattern. I'm going to come into the basic shapes and I'm just going to choose a rectangle. Now I want to make this rectangle 1.5 inches wide and 1/2 inch high. So I'm going to untick the maintain aspect ratio. I'm going to take the width down to 1.50 inches. And the height I'm going to take down to 1/2 inch. So I'm making a skinny rectangle. Oh, okay, and I only need 1, so I'm going to say set. So I'm going to try and drag that rectangle. Not sure if I can, no, I'm going to have to use the arrows again to flick through the objects. Let me just put that back. Okay, and I'm going to use the arrows to maneuver this shape down here. So I'm going to bring it down, and I'm going to bring it across, and I want it to bridge these two words. So I'm just going to bring it down. I'm just looking at the left hand section at the moment, which hopefully you can see. And I can see it's overlapping there. Then I'm going to choose the other word, and I'm going to move this one over to the left so it overlaps. And I want to try and kind of get about the same overlap on both. Okay, so I'm going to say okay. Now I'm going to come to the three red boxes. I've got one of the words selected down here. I'm going to choose the first box and drag the red arrows down, because I'm telling the machine I only want you to deal with the things that are down here at the bottom. So I'm going to say okay, and that's selected those three. It's not touching this word up here. I'm going to say okay. I'm going to come to the 4 arrow-headed icon again, and this time instead of moving them, I'm going to use the alignment icon, which is up at the top. And this is a kind of universal icon. You'll find this in like Word documents, Pages documents, you know, anything that you kind of type. And I'm going to center these all together, and I can never remember which one it is. I think it's this one. No, it's not, so I'm going to undo it. I always get the wrong one. So while I've got these 3 selected, it's this one. So now basically what it's done, I positioned the rectangle so it overlapped both words, but it's by aligning it, it's positioned it exactly in the middle. What's that? Vertically, yeah? Now between those 2 sections. Okay, so I'll come back in a minute. I can see somebody's saying something, but I'm not sure what you're talking about. So we'll leave it like this for now. So I've still just got these 3 selected. I'm going to say okay, okay, object edit, and this time I'm going to weld them together. And it's saying to me, okay to weld pattern outline, it's irreversible, and it's showing me what it will look like, and that's exactly what I want it to look like. Hopefully you can see that on the screen. So I'm going to say okay, okay again, okay again. Now this is my file, so I'm going to save it. So I'm going to hit save, and I'm just going to save it into the memory of the machine, because I'm going to cut the faux leather first, and then I'm going to come back and cut the vinyl. So if I save it all as a file, I'm going to say okay, I can select the word keys, and I can go okay, no, not that. I can go edit and send the word keys to the trash and say yes, it's okay, and just leave this section for now. But because I've saved it into the machine, when I call this file back up to cut the heat transfer vinyl, it's all the same size. I don't have to mess about sizing it. Okay, and one thing I didn't do, I should have flipped the word keys, so I'll try and remember to flip it before I cut it. But if you can all shout mirror the word keys when we get to cutting that bit, and hopefully I'll remember to do it. So now let's see how big this is. So object edit size, it's 7.5 inches wide now. This might be a bit tight. I'm going to put a piece of this faux vinyl on my mat and see if it's big enough. I might have to cut another piece, but let's just see. So I'm literally just going to put a piece of the faux vinyl on my mat. I'm going to say okay, 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 and I'm going to do a background scan and start. So without making you sick, just going to move you down so you can see what's going on. So let me see, what have I missed? So Jamila's saying, I can't remember what it's called, but I saw a woman using the sticky stylus with what looked like a blob of glue on the end. Oh, yeah. What, on the screen? I might try that. I've got one of those. I might try that in a minute and see. So Abigail is saying, thank you, I got the SDX 325 from a wonderful store here in, is that British Columbia? I love the white colour of the Disney model though. Silly, I know. Let's see what we're saying. Pickup tool, yeah, I've got one. I'll try it. I don't know what it is. It's just started happening lately. And I did try and calibrate the screen, but it's a nonsense to do with this model. So I gave up because it wouldn't do it. Let's see what we're saying. Linda Crawford saying, was talking about using the pencil eraser as a stylus. Okay, I'll try that in a minute. Someone's saying something might scratch the screen. I've got one of those sticky pickup things, if that's what you're talking about. Right, so what I'm going to do now, let's go. Okay, so we're back on the ScanNCut screen, and I'm going to go into the wrench and I'm going to make the background lighter and say okay, because I can't see if these words are going to fit. Now let me just try what you're talking about, because I've got one of them. I sell these in my Stampin' Up shop with the sticky putty end on the end. So let me just wind out some putty and see if this works. No, that's not working. So I'll stick with doing what I'm doing. I'm going to get to edit. I'm going to use the arrows. So I'm just going to bring it up and see if this will fit. And if it won't, I'll have to cut another piece of vinyl. I might be able to angle it and see. So let's just try before I cut some more. So let's go to rotate. And we'll rotate it in small increments and see if I can cut it from this piece of waste. It's still a bit tight. I think I'll cut another piece of vinyl. So if you just bear with me while I go around the other side and get my vinyl. Right, let's come back to the overhead. So I'm not going to use, how big's that one? I've got another piece there. See, that's only small. I'm going to take this one off my mat because none of these are any good. I'm going to cut, how big's that one? I've got all these different scraps that are all about 7 inches, but I need 7.5. So let's find some scissors and I'll just cut a chunk. That's a technical word, by the way. And I'll make it 12 inches wide, so I'll just use my mat. In fact, I won't make it 12, I'll make it 9. And then that gives me a sizable chunk. So let's go, let's see if we've got it's been snowing here the last few days. Yeah, the other day we had snow and sun all day long. Poor Eddie was out like on the balcony on the patio in the wind and the sun, and then the next thing he was covered in snow. He didn't know what had hit him, bless him. He was like looking at me to say, what's going on? Oh, Jane, don't worry, it'll be recorded hopefully, so you can always come back and watch it. I got the SDX 900. The screen is smaller and so hard to use with the stylus. Wouldn't the sticky pickup work? No, it wouldn't work. Thea's saying too late, Ashley already tried that. Jamila's saying go and get a coffee. Bless. Right, so let's go back to the scan and cut screen. I'm just going to scan another piece of, so I'm going to say okay, and come back to background scan and start. Sorry, because my piece wasn't big enough. So I'm just literally scanning another piece of faux vinyl. And hopefully in a minute you'll see it. Okay, that's better. So I'm going to select my word, go to edit, object edit, and rotate it back. Oh no, don't want that. So it's back to normal. And now I'm going to see, it's letting me select it now, just being a devil. I'm just going to position it on this piece of black vinyl. I'm going to, let me just move you around here. I'm going to put in my rotary blade, lock it in. I'm going to come back to the screen. I'm going to say, okay, 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 select, cut. Just going to make sure half cut or anything's not on, and I'm going to press start. So let me just slide you down. So hopefully this should cut now. I know it's not the greatest angle, but I don't want to keep jiggling the screen around. Thea's saying a pencil eraser works great. Okay, don't know if I've got one of them handy. I tend to use those, you know, those pencils where you press the end and the lead pops out. JD Cougar's saying mirror. Yeah, I will in a minute when I get to the heat transfer vinyl. Keep that thought for me, JD Cougar. I don't need to mirror this, it's the heat transfer vinyl I need to mirror. Okay, so we're just waiting for this to cut. Then I'll call the design back up and I'll cut the heat transfer vinyl, and then we'll come back to the overhead camera. So is everybody okay with what I've done so far? So basically I created the word keys and I sized it to 3 inches wide, and I left the height at what it was. I think was it 0.91, and then I added an offset of 0.10, and that basically made my offset more or less already welded. If yours doesn't, then you'll have to, we'll try and do another one in a minute when I've done this and see if I can show you what I'm talking about. So I can't see any questions, so I think we're all okay at the moment, but I know there is a delay from when I ask to when they pop up, so if anybody has got any questions, then we'll try and address them while we're at this bit. Just bring in some glue in, because I'll need some glue. They look like a normal pencil but with a razor. They look like a normal pencil but has eraser centre instead of a lead. All right, okay. No, I don't know about that. So JD Cougar's saying, I see where you wouldn't mirror the leather. No, because I'm cutting it from the top, from the faux leather side, yeah? So I'm just cutting this as it is. I mirrored one half of the word before I welded the two together with that rectangle, if that makes sense. But for the heat transfer vinyl, I will need to mirror the word because you cut on the wrong side. So the leather is the extra offset, correct, JD Cougar? Yeah. And the words that I'm going to cut in heat transfer vinyl will be the original words that are sized at 3 inches wide by just under an inch high. Okay. So hopefully you can see this is cutting. So it's just, I think it's just kind of like resetting itself when it goes up to the top of the mat. Probably because there's like small areas or something, I'm not sure what it's doing, but I just leave it to do what it does. I think it's nearly finished. And if you watch me do the Facebook Live for makers, it didn't throw the mat in and out as many times as it's doing here. I think it just depends on what you're cutting. So Alison's saying, sorry to ask, you did say CM900 can use the rotary blade. No, the CM models can't use the rotary blade, but you should probably be able to use your regular blade on faux leather, and you can certainly use your regular blade on vinyl. So the rotary blade is only for the SDX or DX machines. In other words, the machine that have got the auto blade technology. Okay, so that's done now. Let's just move you down so you can see. Now, I know that this will have cut because I've cut this material several times, but if you're ever unsure, lift a corner and make sure it's cut through before you peel away, because if it hasn't, you can always send it back through to cut. So that's me peeling the waste away, and I'm just going to bend the mat, and hopefully this will all be welded together. And I'm just going to put it on my over on my desk for now, and we're going to cut the word. I'll show you it all in a minute. So let's go back to the screen, and we're going to say finish cutting, okay. We're going to hit the home button and say yes, it's okay to delete all patterns. I'm going to go retrieve data from the machine. I'm going to jump to the last page, and here is the keyring I've just made with you. I'm going to say okay. I'm going to go edit. I can get rid of this now at the bottom because I've just cut it, so I can send it to the bin and say okay. And now I'm left with just the words, which is what I'm going to cut in heat transfer vinyl. So I'm going to unload my fabric mat and just move it out of the way. And I'm going to bring in my regular cutting mat. Just need to put the covers, and I'm going to load my regular cutting, my regular standard purple mat. And I'm going to, let's just come down here so you can see what I'm doing. So I've got my piece of heat transfer vinyl, and I'm going to put shiny side down on the mat, so I'm cutting into the back. Okay, so I'm just going to put this here, and hopefully it's going to stick. I'm just going to give it a good burnish. Okay, come back up to the screen. I'm going to, I've lost my stylus again. The amount of times I lose this stylus. I'm going to go to Object Edit, and I'm going to mirror the words because I'm cutting into the back of the vinyl. So the words need to be reversed, okay? I'm going to say okay, okay, background scan and start, and scan this mat with this piece of heat transfer vinyl. I'm not going to move the camera again. I'm just going to leave it on the screen for now. Otherwise I'm just going to make you sit, keep moving you backwards and forwards. Got your Yolandi, I remembered. Yeah, everyone's shouting mirror. Thank you. So now I can see my piece of heat transfer vinyl. I'm going to choose my words. and I'm just going to place them on this piece of vinyl. Now I'm going to take the rotary blade out of the machine, and I'm going to use my vinyl blade, but you can use, the vinyl blade's got a blue top, but you can use a regular blade for vinyl, okay? It's just that I've got the vinyl blade, so I choose to use it. So now I'm going to come back to the screen. I'm going to say, okay, select, cut, and then the wrench will appear. And I'm going to select the wrench. I'm going to scroll down to half cut and choose on, because I don't want to cut all the way through this vinyl and through that clear plastic, because that clear plastic is effectively my carrier sheet. So I need a half cut. So I'm going to say okay. So if you're using a CM model that hasn't got half cut, just do a test cut and set your blade fairly low and your cut pressure fairly low, and you just want to cut through the, you know, if it's heat transfer vinyl, you want to cut through the backing and not through the clear. And if it's regular vinyl that you've got colour side up, you want to cut through the top layer and not the paper backing, okay? So I'm going to say, so I've got half cut on, I'm going to say start. Hopefully this mat is sticky enough to hold this piece of shiny vinyl. So let's just now move you down a little bit. So this should now be cutting the individual letters of the word keys, because I didn't weld the letters, if you remember. I just typed the word keys and each letter was individual, okay? Right, so that's cut. So I'm going to bring you back to the overhead. I'm going to take this off the mat. Let's move. What do I need? I want my... I've got stuff everywhere. So I don't need that. So I've got my word. Okay. I just need to plug my heat press in, because I forgot to do that, and switch it on, but it doesn't take very long. So I'm using a 1-inch keyring. Now when I did those others in the live the other week, I'd run out of the keyrings, so I used butt rings, but I've been on eBay and bought a pack of these, a pack of 10. They're just called 1-inch keyrings. They were a couple of £2 and they literally came the next day. So I'm going to use one of those, and I'm going to use some high-tack all-purpose very sticky glue, which you can use for all different crafts, and you can use it on fabric. I've also got some Fabri-Tac, but it's in very, very tiny bottles, and I literally need all my might to squeeze it out. So hopefully you can see what's going on. So here's my vinyl, and I just need now, I'll just use my Stampin' Up piercing tool. So that's my heat press telling me it's ready. So I told you it heats up pretty quickly. So now I'm just going to weed this off here, hopefully. So that's waste. Okay, and here when I turn it over now, my word is the right way round, and that's going to go on there like so. So I'm going to bring in my easy press mat, and last time I was doing it on the wrong side, somebody pointed out to me, so I'm doing it on the right side this time. So here's my hopefully you can see this. Here's my word. This is the word keys the right way round. This is the bit that we welded together, and this is the word keys duplicated and flipped. Okay, so this now is going to go on here. So I'm just going to position it by eye like so. I'm going to bring in a piece of parchment paper. Now for this particular faux leather and Cricut heat transfer vinyl, it says 270 for 20 seconds. Now this isn't Cricut heat transfer vinyl, but it seems to work. So I'm just going to position that over there and press go and just apply a little bit of pressure and wait for this to count down. So let's see what we're saying. Everyone's shouting mirror. Such a good sense of humour in this group. Great explanation of the half cut. Did my first HTV project a couple of weeks ago. Remembered to mirror, etc. But still managed to tie myself in knots. Oh, Lynn. So I'm just going to move that out of the way. I'm just going to move this out of the way because it holds the heat. And I want this to kind of just semi-cool down before I peel it away. I can never remember whether this glitter heat transfer vinyl is cool, cold, or, you know, like warm or hot peel. So I kind of just give it a few seconds and then I'll start to peel it away and hopefully the letters will get left behind. This is very sticky. Making this look harder than it is. There you go. So that's peeled away. So that's now waste. So that's the shiny side that we didn't cut through. We cut on the wrong side. And because we only did half cut, this is still in one piece, but the letters cut nicely. Okay. I'm just going to fold that together. So I'll just bring my mat back in. I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to put this on top and just give it a quick, oops, sorry, few seconds just to, from the back. That's all it needs. I'm going to turn that off. Put my parchment paper out of the way. So that's it done now. So what I need to do now is bring in my key ring and I'm going to glue this to this. Okay, and that kind of gives it a bit of stability. So I'm going to bring in my silicone, my Stampin' Up! Silicone mat, because I'm just going to put glue all over here and I don't want to get it all over this mat. So I'll shake some of this glue out, hopefully. You want to kind of get, you know, fairly near the edges, but you kind of don't want it oozing out. But this particular glue, I think, dries clear. So if it does ooze out, once it's dry, you shouldn't see it. Right, so let's just put the lid back on that. So now I'm just going to fold this over and I'm going to attempt to line up the two layers without sticking my head in the camera. And I moved the camera angle the other day and I did a pre-recorded video, and every time I moved I literally stuck my head in shot, so I've had to move it back. So that looks pretty much okay. So I'm just going to just give it a little bit of pressure with my hand. And is there any other questions or anything? Oh, what's it say? What's it saying here? Great timing, Hannah and Eddie will get their tea. Yeah, so I can see a little bit of the glue, like I say, just oozing out, but it'll dry clear. So let's move that out of the way. So if we move all this out of the way, and if I zoom you in, that's our little project. Can you see that? But that could be a name. You know, it doesn't have to be the word keys. It could be a name. It could be, you know, the number of your house. You know, if you live at like number 123 or 90 or 4 or whatever, it could be a number. You know, just showing you how to do it with words as opposed to shapes. And then if you just leave that to dry, you could put, you know, a piece of parchment paper or something over it and put a book or something on it, but it will dry, you know, okay. I mean, if you just go back to these have all dried, you know, perfectly fine. And these were all made a few weeks ago. This is the same faux leather with a flower from the ScanNCut. So it will dry. So let's just go back to the ScanNCut screen and I'll try quickly and show you what I was talking about. So let's say home, okay to delete all patterns. And let's go back to pattern and text, and let's find that text again, and we'll type keys again just for the sake of it because it's quick, and we'll say okay, set, let's just bring it down and over into the middle in the hope that you'll see this a bit easier. So we're going to say okay, we're going to go object edit and we're going to go offset. So let's try 0.08 and see how this looks. Or let's go bigger. Let's go, we did 10, let's do 12 and say okay and see what we get. See, so that's kind of welded but not. So if I say okay and zoom in, you can see that these look as though they've welded because the overlap's big, but the S doesn't look as though it is. So you just need to be careful with what you're doing. So let's undo. Let's get rid of that one, send it to the bin. Let's use the original word. Let's say object edit, offset. Let's try let's go bigger. Let's do 15 and see. We'll say okay, move it away. And then if you look at this one now and zoom in, you can see that because I've made the offset bigger, they've kind of already welded themselves together. Let's come back to the original keys and do object edit offset. In fact, no, let's forget that. Let's go to size. Let's take it down to 3 inches like we did the original. Just do this quickly to see if I can show you what I'm talking about. It probably ain't going to work now because I want to show you before I go off and have to make Hannah's and Eddie's food. So we've got 3 inches wide, which is what we cut the original. We'll say okay, we'll do offset. And we'll make the offset, let's see if I can, I'm trying to recreate something that I don't know if it's going to work. So let's go down and say, we'll say 0.8, move this away. It's probably not going to work on this word, but won't let me move the damn words again. It's annoying. No, it's kind of, if I zoom in, what you want to look for, let's zoom to 400%. Let's go down. And come across. So what I'm trying to, can you see here? It's inflated most of the letters and kind of welded them together automatically, but the S isn't welded. So what you need to do is make sure that when you're doing your offset, you do it big enough so all your letters weld. If you do it small and the offsets have got like individual boxes around them, but they're all overlapped, then you would select them and weld them. So I don't know if that makes sense or not. I can't kind of recreate what I want to show you, but so for mine, I did the original word at 3 inches wide, and I did my offset at 0.10, and that made everything kind of automatically weld together for me. Okay, so it will depend on what word you use, what size you start off with, and how big or small you make your offset. But the object of the exercise is the offset needs to be big enough so that the letters, the offset letters, weld together to give you this, you know, like sturdy background. You don't want the letters to be individual, because you'll just end up with like a K or an E or a Y or an S. Does that make sense? So let's see what we're saying. Fantastic, you have great ideas for us. Looks very easy, thanks. Thank you so much, what a great project. Can you add a reinforcement bar across the bottom of the... Yeah, you could. What you could also do when you type your word keys, you could do a rectangle and weld a rectangle to your letters, I think. Let's see if we can... Let's cancel all this. Let's get rid of all these bits for now. So let's go, so we've got our original word keys here at 3 inches wide. Let's go OK, add, pattern, basic shapes, rectangle, set it on the mat. You could make this object edit. Let's see, we can go size, untick aspect ratio, make the width 3 inches, because that's how wide our word is. Let's try this and see if this works. Then let's make the height, say, 1/2 inch. I'm kind of just messing about now. I don't know whether this is going to work or not. And then we'll say OK. I'm going to bring... I can't get hold of the damn things. I'm going to bring this right down to the bottom, so it just sits on the bottom. Then I'm going to use the arrows to choose that word and bring them down, so they're just above that rectangle, and they're going to overlap slightly. Then I'm going to say OK. I'm going to select everything, say OK, come to the align icon, align them centrally. No, I don't want to do that. That way, centrally. Say OK, OK, object edit and weld. OK, so now, let's just move this back up. Now what we've done is we've kind of welded a rectangle onto the bottom, so you could do it that way as well. Does that make sense if I zoom in? And then what you would do with this is you duplicate this. So we'd go object edit, duplicate, say we want 2, move 1 out of the way. This is so damned annoying not being able to move these things. Move that one out of the way. Choose this one. Create an offset of this now. Let's do 0.10 again. And then duplicate the offset, flip it, add your rectangle, get rid of this one because you don't need both of these, so send one to the bin. So this becomes your original words for your HTV, and this one here you duplicate, flip, weld it together with a rectangle, and this becomes your base, so it just makes it a bit more substantial. Does that make sense? Right, let me just come back to the comments. I'll come back to the overhead, and let me just, I'm looking on my phone now because the comments come through quicker on my phone than they do on my iPad that's in front of me, so I'll just leave that there for now. Great session once again. Does Easy Press work okay? Looking at Heat Press book takes a lot of room. I love my little Cricut Easy Press. I got the middle size. There's a small one, the middle one, and a big one. I got the middle one. I actually got it at the same time as I bought the vinyl. I bought it from the same company, that GM Crafts, and I love it, yeah. So Linda was saying, I was getting confused on what you were doing until you said you were trying to recreate something. Can we do the offset in Canvas and adjust the letters inwards? Yeah, you could do it in Canvas, Alison. I was just kind of trying to show you how you can do it just directly on the machine. But yeah, you can do anything in Canvas and send it over. But sometimes it's, you know, the whole idea of having a ScanNCut was that it didn't need to be connected to a computer. So I do like to show you things that you can do just directly on your machine. And here on YouTube in the playlist, I have a ScanNCut machine only playlist. So it's all things that I've done just directly on the machine. So when I go and update this YouTube live in a bit, this is in the live playlist, but it will also go into the ScanNCut machine playlist because everything I did directly on the machine, if that makes sense. Jamila's saying looks beautiful though, love it. JD Cougar's saying makes sense. Yes, you could nudge the letters together, then create an offset from there. So if you wanted to nudge the letters together directly on the machine, you'd need to type your word separately. So you know how I typed Keys as one word? You would need to type K, set it on the map, go back, do the E, set it on the map, do the Y, set it on the map, etc. Then when you've got all your words, you could nudge them all together and weld them. But I wanted my heat transfer vinyl letters to be individual letters, but I wanted the base it was sitting on to be a welded word, if that makes sense. That's why I applied a big offset. So I hope that makes sense to everybody. So Susan's saying brilliant, Alison's saying yes, thank you, I understand. Okay, so it's 6:10. I'm going to go because I need to go and put Hannah's food on, and she'll be back soon with Eddie, and he'll be chomping at the bit for his tea because, you know, you would think like that I starve him. You know, the way he looks at me every time I go anywhere near, you know, the kitchen to do stuff. So I'm just going to unplug my Easy Press while I remember. So that's tonight's tutorial. So I hope you all liked it. I'm just going to take the vinyl blade out of my machine and put my regular blade back in. Put all my different blades away. Turn the ScanNCut off. Love the keyring, so cute. Thanks, Ashley. Fab as always. Just going to say that separate letters on ScanNCut. Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to love you and leave you. Put all the covers back on both my mats. And I'll take a picture of this and put it in the thumbnail for YouTube. If anyone's got any questions, you know, we've got the Sunday Night Live section on the forum, so you can always go and ask any questions in there, and I'll try and get round to answering them. I'm hopefully going to be around tomorrow because Hannah's got a competition on Tuesday, so I'm hoping to go. Well, I'm caddying for her actually. I'm trying to stretch across my desk and get my fabric back while I'm talking. So I'm caddying for her on Tuesday, so I'll hopefully be at home tomorrow, catching up on paperwork and things. So if anybody's got any questions or anything that you want to ask me, either, you know, directly email me or pop them in the Sunday Night Live section of the forum, and I'll try and get round to answering them tomorrow, because Tuesday I'm not going to be available at all day. Vicky's saying try the calibration again. I will do, Vicky, but I remember trying to do it a while ago and it was just a pain, an actual pain in the backside, to try and calibrate the screen on this machine. Jamila's saying night love to Eddie and Hannah. Bye everyone, and thanks again Ashley for another fun tutorial. Alison's saying night, hope you and Jim are okay. Alison, I forgot to say that at the beginning, and you're more than welcome for the help last week. Don't hesitate to ask. Okay, so I think I've probably hopefully covered everything. Linda's saying I like it better with the shelf offset on the bottom. Yeah, just have a play around with it. You know, like I always say in these things, I kind of give you, you know, the basics, and then you all run with your own ideas. Right, I'm going to go now because I really do need to start and go and make some food. So hopefully I'll see you all